Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to draft a basic bodice block step by step. A well-drafted basic block is the foundation of accurate pattern making, and once you understand it, you'll be able to draft or create different garments with confidence. Whether you are a complete beginner or looking to improve your pattern making skills, this lesson is for you. So grab your ruler, pattern paper and pen and let's get started. The first line I'll be marking on my pattern paper is the guideline line away from the edge of the paper. Now I mark both vertical and horizontal. So this is where all my measurement is starting from. Now I'm taking I'm starting with the shoulder. The shoulder I'm using is 14. 14 divided by 2, 7. So I marked my 7 inches. Now I'll be taking my neck measurement. Neck of this person is 14. 14 divided by 5 give us 2.5. So I'll be using it as both the width and the depth. But on the depth I added 0.2 inches, so making a total of 3 inches. So the depth is 3 inches while the width is 2.8 inches. Now I'll use my curve ruler to curve out the neckline. Now after I'm done with that, I'll move to the shoulder slope. Now the shoulder slope is the total of your shoulder divided by 10. Whatever you have, mine is 1.4 inches. So I'll be marking down from the shoulder 1.4 to slope the shoulder. So I'll bring out the line and mark it from the tip of the neck down to where the measurement is stopping. Now after I'm done with that, I'll move to the armhole. The armhole measurement I got was 15. So you can decide to take your armhole directly on your, or you use your bust divide by 6 plus 1.5. So mine gave me 15. 15 divided by 2, 7.5. So on that point I drew out the horizontal line and I will use my ruler to mark out the vertical line on it. So now that is the armhole line I'm drawing. I'm drawing it out vertically. I've already drawn out the horizontal line. Armhole length and look for the midpoint of the armhole. Now the midpoint of the armhole is 3.7. So I'll mark in half inches from that point. Now I'll go back to the armhole, the horizontal armhole line and interpret my bust. The bust is 34. 34 divided by 4 give 8.5 inches. So I mark out my 8.5. Now before bringing out the armhole curve, I'll go to that angle. I'll go to the angle of that point and mark out 0.7 inches. So from the tip of the shoulder to the midpoint of the armhole to the armhole line. So I'm marking out the curve of the armhole. Now after I'm done with that, I'll move to mark shoulder to waist for front. The shoulder to waist for the front is 16 inches. Now I'll take note of that. I'll measure shoulder to bust point. The shoulder to bust point is 10 inches. So I'll also take note of that. Now I'm going to be using my ruler to bring out the horizontal line. Now I decided to use a broken line for the bust point so that it can be so that we can understand it properly. So I'm using a broken line for the bust point. Now moving down to the waistline, I'll bring out the horizontal waistline. Now is to interpret the waist. The waist, the total of the waist is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5 plus 3 3 centimeter for that allowance. Now after that, I'll measure waist to hip. The waist to hip is 8 inches. So I'll mark from my waistline down 8 inches, and on that line I'll be interpreting the full hip measurement, which is 38. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. So after I'm done with that, I'll connect my armhole, bust and waistline together. Then I'll connect waist to hip together. You can see the shape is already formed. Now I'll move to the apex to apex, which is the nipple to nipple. That's on the bust line now. I'll interpret the apex to apex. Apex to apex is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So I'll mark 3.5 on the bust point. Then I'll interpret the same measurement on the waistline. Now I'll bring out my ruler and connect a straight line from that bust point down to the waistline and down towards the hip. Now I'll stop 3 inches before the hip line. I'm going to stop 3 inches. So it's 3 inches before the hip. Now I'll go back to the waistline and mark my dart leg. You remember I added 3 centimeters. So on each leg I'll be taking in 1.5 centimeters. Now the dart leg is 1 inches down the bust point. So I'll mark my dart leg and connect my dart. You can see the way I use my ruler to connect the dart. Now I'm done with that. I'll move to my bust line now. Now my bust line, and I want to bring out the bust dart. Now to bring out the bust dart is the difference between front shoulder to waist and back shoulder to waist is different. Front is 16 while the back is 14.5. So I have difference of 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inches is what I'll be marking as my bust dart. So for my bust line, I marked from the side, I marked 1.5 and I connect it to that one is 1 inches before the bust point. So now the bust point is serving as a reference point now. So all my darts are equal. Now the next thing is I can trace out half length of this basic block. Now if I want a pattern from this, I'll just trace it from shoulder to the waist. So it's going to be from shoulder to waist. Now moving to the back, the same measurement I took for the front, the shoulder which is 7 inches, the neck width which is 2.8 inches. Now the depth of the back is always higher, so I use 1.5 for the depth. So the width is the same thing with the back, it's only the depth is 1.5 inches for the depth. So I'm marking 1.5 inches for the depth of the back. So I will use my curve roller to cover the shape of the neck. Now I'll move back to the shoulder and slope the shoulder by 1.4 inches. You remember shoulder divided by 4? Shoulder divided by 10. Shoulder divided by 10. So give us 1.4, and that's what I use for my shoulder slope. Now I'll connect the shoulder slope to the neck tip. Now I'll measure the armhole depth. The armhole depth is the same as the front. 15 divided by 2, 7.5. So I'll mark it and I'll bring out the horizontal and the vertical measurement line. I'll bring out the vertical and the horizontal line. So this is me bringing out the horizontal line, and I'll draw out the vertical line from where the shoulder measurement stop. So I'll draw out the vertical line down to the horizontal line. Now I'll go back to the armhole depth and look for the midpoint of the armhole depth. Now after I got the midpoint, I'm going to go in by quarter inches. You remember for the front I went in with half inches, but for the back I'm going in with quarter inches. So I'm going to mark my quarter inches, and once I'm done I'll go to the horizontal line and interpret the bust. Now the bust is 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So I'll mark my 8.5. Once I mark my 8.5, I'll bring my French curve and connect the from the shoulder tip to the midpoint and to the bust measurement I marked. Now I'm done. Then I'll measure shoulder to waist for the back is 14.5 inches. So I'll mark my shoulder to waist for back 14.5 inches. Then I'm going to bring out my horizontal line. Now shoulder to hip, waist to hip is 8 inches. Same thing with the front. So I'll mark my waist to hip. Now I'll go back to the waist, interpret the waist measurement plus 3 centimeter for that. That's 3 centimeter from my dart allowance. So after I'm done with that, I'll go to the hip and interpret the hip measurement. Now I'm done with that. Now connect my lines together and bring out the shape of the block. Now I'm interpreting the apex to apex on the armhole line and on my waistline 7 inches divided by 2, 3.5 inches. So I'll mark it. Now going to the waistline, I'll mark out. Now I'm marking out the dart leg and I'm going to connect it. Now once I'm done connecting it, I'll move to the waistline. Now at the center back, I'll go in by 0.5 inches and take my ruler to take it up like a dart. Yes, and also take it down towards the hip. Now this is to remove any excess, any bulging at the center back. So I'm done with that. Now the center back pattern is ready. Now the neck, and this is the front pattern. And the next thing is to cut out the pattern paper. Now after I'm done cutting, I'll bring out the half length of the block. Now once I'm done, I'll place this on another pattern and trace out the half length. Now the half length is the one that will stop at the waistline. Now the pattern that will stop at the waistline, you can decide to use it for half cut, a peplum blouse, a gown, so whichever. So I'm done. Now you can see I've traced out the half length. I have both the front and the back pattern. These are the two blocks. So I have a full block for a blouse and for half length design. Now the next thing is to measure the hole of the armhole. I want to use it to cut out the sleeve of for the pattern. So I'll measure the hole of what I have at the armhole, both the front and the back. Now when I measured it, I have a total of 17 inches. So that's the total of what I got on the armhole. So I'm going to use this to draft the sleeve block. Now on my sleeve block, I mark out the length of the sleeves 10 inches and the cap height, which is bust divided by 10 plus 0.2 inches, that's quarter inches, gave me 4.5. So that's my cap height. So I'll measure my cap height 4.5 inches. Now on that point, I'm going to measure the bicep. The bicep of I got is 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So 6.5 is what I measured. Now I will look for the midpoint of this measurement, the midpoint of 6.5 inches, which is going to be 3.25. So I'll draw a straight line on that midpoint. I'm going to draw a straight line down. Now from that, I'll go back to the upper part and measure down 1.5 inches. I'll measure 1.5 inches. So once I measure 1.5 inches, I'm going to bring out my French curve and I'm going to place it and curve out the crown of the sleeve. You can see the way I place the ruler. So you can pause the video and watch and follow exactly what I did. You can see the way I place my ruler to get the crown of the sleeve. Now I'm done with that. Then I'll move to the length, the hem part, and measure the round of my arm, 10 inches divided by 2, 5 inches. So I'm going to connect that to the biceps. So from the biceps, I'll draw a line to meet up with the hemline. So I'm actually done with the sleeve pattern. Now I'll go back to the crown of the sleeve and measure all what I have. So I got a total of 8.5 inches. So if you times 8.5 by 2, it's going to be 17 inches. So and that is what I got when I measured the armhole of both the front and the back pattern. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. And if you have a video you want me to, a particular topic you want me to draft or explain, you can just request for a video in the comment section. Now, if you have enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and drop a nice comment in the comment section. Don't forget to check my other videos to see how you can use this block to achieve a bustier. Thanks for watching.